Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the CJ Transformation Healing Center. We're going to look at the astrology of the second week of October. That's October 8th to the 14th. And the first week of October was quite eventful. Uh, and so the eventfulness continues. A few weeks ago, or a week or so ago, I did a video with Ona from Ona's Tarot, her monthly moonshine episode. She does the full moon episodes, and I do the new moon episodes, moon shadows. But we were talking about the full moon in Aries, and I said at that time that it felt like the full moon in Aries, and what was going on after that. Uh, Between that and then the next lunar event, which is the new moon that occurs this week, at the end of this week. The things from the full moon to that new moon were like the foothills of the great expanse of how far we are going to travel and how high and how arduous we're going to hit the mountains. It's no longer the foothills. And so this week is the sort of the coming to fruition of that part of the journey that we're doing together. And we're in some pretty profound times, and 2024 promises to be a real watershed. But that being said, I do also believe that we will overcome. The light will, the evolution, the letting go of ways that no longer serve and moving into a new understanding of what it's going to take for us to be our best selves, manifest our highest intentions. And for those of us who, talk about that all the time and are trying to bring that forward into the consciousness, I think we need to hear maybe even more, right? So I'm saying it. So let's take a look at the week ahead before I get too philosophical about any of this. All right, one moment, I'll connect. Okay, so just before I get started, if there's an issue with the sound, I apologize. I'm in my little cubby hole where I like to do my work, and I have to have the window open because, well, it's a beautiful day, but it's been hot, so I can't close the window or else I'll sweat and I'll mess up this perfect face of mine. Not really, hardly anything on that, but so I just want to apologize for that up front. Okay. So we're looking at the week 2, the 15th. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, sorry guys. I'm ahead of myself. I'm like, what's going on? We're gonna go over all this. Not to worry. All right, here we go. Week 2. I actually, yeah, I went to week 3. We're not gonna, that's enough. We'll have enough to deal with week 2. October 8th to the 14th. So the first thing that happens is on Sunday, Venus ingresses into Virgo. And I don't think Venus has but a few minutes in Leo out of shadow before she has to plunge into Virgo. And so that's going to happen on the 8th. And also at the same, and that's significant because Venus in Virgo, while not all that thrilled to be in Virgo, just like any Virgo energy, will work things out. I mean, Venus in Virgo will roll up her sleeves. We may feel a little bit more anxious as Venus moves into Virgo, or we may feel a little bit more critical. We might find ourselves being more critical in our relationships and also in our relationship to ourselves. So we need to be both discerning because of the Venus in in Virgo, but also be kind to ourselves. We need to balance that. And then on the same day, we have Mars make a last quarter square to Pluto. Now, this is part of a larger 2-year cycle of Mars and Pluto. Mars and Pluto are, in fact, Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. And in evolutionary astrology, we see the journey of Pluto and Mars. It's a 2-year journey as the expression, as bringing forth the expression or the realization, or bringing into consciousness what was previously unconscious when it comes to our desire nature, which has to do with Pluto and Mars. And so, because Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008, all the Pluto-Mars conjunctions, I believe, have been in Capricorn. And the next one we're going to have, which is in 2024, is going to be in Aquarius. I believe I'm right about that. So, but for the most part, even if there's like, because I can't remember the, well, actually, it'll come up. It's okay. But the last quarter square is a crisis in consciousness. It's a crisis in belief square. It is at the top. When you look at a natural chart, it's the tippy top, it's the MC, it's the height of the ambition. So we have this sort of height of ambition energy happening right now. With Mars in Libra, the energy of justice, but also to a certain extent the energy of extremes. So but this is a powerful time, and I feel like this is a time that the law could come down pretty heavy. People being held in account of. It's a very karmic time, of course, because the South Node is in Libra, which is about contracts, right? It's about contracts. Contracts are coming due, guys. Now, Mars, last week, Mars was on the South Node. And that energy is kind of lingering. It's still sort of there. The North Node has Eris, the goddess of discord. So we can see a lot of discord. We can see a lot of dissatisfaction with the way things have been. And it's because it's time to change those things. And those things are going to change with or without our permission. So we have to figure out ways to navigate this rather interesting time on planet Earth, and how to stay aware, I guess, but also aligned with your own self, aligned with your own higher self. Like what is it that your spirit is like? There are times in your life when you really need help, when you have to sort of say, okay, I don't know what to do here, help me, or I give up, or I surrender. And there's a lot of surrender moments that we're all going through. We've had to actually surrender quite a bit, and it's been a very interesting few years, we'll say. But we're moving into the shifting of that. See, we're moving into the shifting of the age. Back in 2020, at least in the United States, we voted for Joe Biden to be president, which was a shift. The darkness was finally starting to lose its grip. And so we made a choice. We chose maybe stability over chaos. Maybe we chose kindness over meanness, mean-spiritedness. Whatever the decision was made, and things have been sort of slowly going in that direction. But we can't expect the powers that be to want to lose their grasp. Now, I could have said that story and been on the other side of things and been really telling the same story So I think we have to figure out where the story is the same. And just like how we see the details of it is perhaps not as important. You know what I mean? All right. So I'm sorry. I'll continue. Tuesday on the 8th week, excuse me, Tuesday, October 10th. This is the 10-10 portal. We have Venus making an opposition to Saturn. This is very, very powerful. Venus coming out of shadow, plunging um, into Virgo just to meet up with Saturn in Pisces. Saturn in Pisces can be a lot of things. It can be the necessity for compassion and healing and forgiveness, perhaps. And on the same day, we have Pluto stationing direct at 28 degrees of Capricorn, which is the United States, Pluto. All that energy happening on an ace of fire day. An ace of fire. It's Leo energy. On the 11th, we have the sun making an opposition to Chiron. Sun brings illumination. Oppositions bring a, a perspective, a realization. The opposition brings realization. It brings through, it's part of, it's like the halfway point. It's like, this is what you have grown. And now you have to take what you've grown and put it out there. Sun, Chiron. Uh, on Thursday the 12th, we have Mars ingress in Scorpio. Yeah, Mars has been in Libra and not too happy in Libra, but in Libra all the same. But Mars is very powerful in Scorpio and it's very bottom line. Whereas Mars in Libra has to consider everything. There is a real understanding of how to get to the core of something with Mars and Scorpio. And so there's going to be a lot of things, you know, bottom line things coming up with this energy. We also have Mercury in conjunct Jupiter on that day. Mercury and Jupiter are the two planets associated with the mind. It says circumstances in life can easily seem much better or much worse than they really are. So there's a little bit of a like, what do you call from reality here? But perhaps we need a little bit of a step out of reality to get just, I don't know, to get a different perspective, perhaps, to see the light, to see both sides of the situation. It's an 11 day. It's a 29/11 day. So that's the vibration of light. It's also a Saturn day because that's connected to Vina on the tree of life. So Saturn becomes important. We'll take a look. We'll take a look at all these charts. And then we have on Saturday, the 14th, we have the new moon solar eclipse at 22 degrees of Libra. A child giving birds a drink at a fountain. The concern of simple souls for the welfare and happiness of less evolved beings who thirst for life's renewal. All right, let's take a look at these charts. All right, what do I have here? Okay, so Venus is ingress into Virgo. Here's Venus down here. This is a chart for the US, so apologies to anybody who lives anywhere else. But we can still see what's going on. It's just if your place in the world, it would just be happening in different houses. We have Venus finally out of her shadow. and then moving into Virgo. The Sabian symbol for one of Virgo, which is the degree Venus is moving into, it says in a portrait, the significant features of a man's head are artistically emphasized. The capacity to picture to oneself clearly the salient features and the overall meaning of any life situation. The key word here is discrimination. Now Mercury, as the ruler of Virgo, is at 8 degrees of Libra. It says the Sabian symbol for 8 degrees of Libra, a blazing fireplace in a deserted home. The need to realize that even through the emptiest hours, a spiritual power is ever ready to welcome and warm up the wayward consciousness returning to center. And the keynote here is hope. So this is a lovely, two lovely symbols, because it's asking us to see a hope in sometimes seemingly hopeless situations. You know, you think about people hurting people, people trying to keep people out of where they are. People are afraid of people. There's a real fear of the other. And the other is really a Libra energy. So it's understandable. But we're gonna have to get over that. And we're gonna have to come back together, I think. If we look at this, with as soon as Venus moves into Virgo, Mercury's already in Libra, 8 degrees already, right? So, but what happens is they go into mutual reception, and that is, it's when the ruler of one, they've sort of switched dance partners, right? Venus is the ruler of Libra, and Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. Venus is in Virgo, Mercury's in Libra. So they sort of switch dance partners. And it's a little uncomfortable. It's not as easy flowing as if you're with the dance part you've always had. But there's a resonance. And so while there can be a little bit, you'll have to keep things a little bit looser with this energy. And so sort of go with the flow of it. Let's see what's going on with Venus. Well, Venus, of course, is opposite Saturn, and it's good like the next day, or no, 2 days later, it meets up with Saturn. We have a sextile, I believe. The sextile to Mars. That's helpful. Let's see what else is doing that. We're trying to the North Node. Yeah, we have a trine to the North Node, so that's helpful. And Venus is in charge of Venus is in charge. When she moves into Virgo, she's in charge of the South Node. She's in charge of Mars. Mars is the ruler of the North Node, and Mars is in the Venus rule sign, so she's in charge of the North Node. And you know, Venus and Virgo is like, come on, guys, let's clean this mess up. Let's clean this mess up. What's going on here? I can't you have to look at like what's going on in the Republican Party and what's going on with Trump. You know, they're both coming to this realization that, you know, and this point where you know, all this like hyper masculinity and all this weird stuff is just like coming to this point of where perhaps you know, we're seeing just how wounded the masculine is, and maybe instead of, you know, it's time for a healing. And we're going to see that with the sun opposite Chiron this week. So we have that's an energy. Okay, let's continue. Oops. I can never find a little thing that you're supposed to press. Oh dear. I'm sure there's a way to make me see it better, but damn if I can figure it out. Mars last quarter square to Pluto. Same day, right? Same day. So it's the same vibration, 25/7, which is the Knight of Wands. You know, taking a show on the road. The Knight of Wands is on going on adventure. He's going on a quest. This is the quest. This is like the grail, right? Um, and you have to be inspired. And so this energy here, Venus into Virgo, Mars last quarter square Pluto, everything that's, you know, connected to Virgo and all this other stuff. You know, we are being asked, what is it that's truly like, do you believe? I believe. So this is part of the Mars Pluto synod that began on 3rd of March last year. Mars has a 2-year cycle, it's a biennial cycle, where Mars and Pluto conjoined at 28 degrees of Capricorn, a large aviary, keyword, clear audience. 28 degrees of Capricorn is the United States Pluto. It's also my Saturn. Huh. Now Mars is at 28 degrees of Libra, and Pluto is at 28 degrees of Capricorn. Mars, it says a man becoming aware of spiritual forces surrounding and assisting him. The realization of at any level of existence that one is never alone, and that the community, visible or invisible, is sustaining one's efforts. The key word here is the realization of belonging to a greater whole. This produces a state of inner assurance. And I think I see this, you know, this past week with what happened at the House, where one member of the House, Gates, ended up taking down the Speaker of the House, which the majority of the Republicans wanted to be Speaker of the House. It was just the, whatever it is, the Freedom people, and then the Democrats, who did not vote to save McCarthy. But McCarthy, with every opportunity he had, threw the Democrats under the bus. So why would the Democrats try to save somebody they couldn't trust? You know, take the devil you know, the devil that you don't know. And so I think that we can see this, perhaps the Republican Party, which is, you know, sort of just like staying silent. Like most of the people don't agree, but they just stay silent. They don't speak up against their fearful orange leader. They got like, the Gates experience is like, you know, the appetizer to what it's going to be like when Trump throws them under the bus, whatever that means. I don't know, but if it comes to that, but they have to realize, you know, that they are lost, right? That they are lost, and you know, hopefully they can come back together in a way, and come back with humility, because they definitely lack. They definitely lack humility, and you know, the Democrats have been very humble, sometimes too humble, as some people think, but the things are shifting and changing, and so it's going to be very interesting to see how this all sort of pans out. But I can see that in these symbols and this energy. The last quarter square is a crisis in consciousness. It's like you want to take control of your own life here. You want to become individuated from the collective. And you want to start to make the rules, reorient yourself, but make the rules based on your experience. And then also with the realization that you can't do things alone. After the last quarter square, which is at 270 degrees around the circle, we're moving into the last quarter of the zodiac, right? We're moving into the Capricorn and Aquarius and Pisces side of the zodiac. And that's all about collectivity. That's about, like, the individual comes to his peak, and now it's time to, kind of be reabsorbed back into the collective. But it doesn't have to be an unpleasant experience. It can be an empowering experience. And then you find your tribe, and then you find people who vibrate like you do, and you get it. But we have to stay connected. We all still have to stay connected in some ways, and not allow the people who pull the strings to create wars, for us to be the war machine. You know what I'm saying? We have to come to a place where we're inwardly aligned with our soul, and yet outwardly aligned with the people around us. That has to be the way, because that's the only way we're gonna be able to move forward in any helpful collective way. Otherwise, we might as well just run ourselves into a wall, and who survives, right? That's where we're going. Building walls, knocking walls down. What the heck? All right. On the 10th of October, Venus opposite Saturn. This is the culmination of seeds planted at the Venus-Saturn conjunction, which occurred on the 22nd of January, this past January 2023. That vibrated to a 30/3. That's a 4 of Wands vibration that day. And it's connected to the planet Jupiter on the Tree of Life. It occurred at 25 degrees of Aquarius. A butterfly with the right wing more perfectly formed, interestingly enough, the right wing. The capacity to develop the rational and fully conscious aspect of the mind ahead of normal evolution. And so there needs to be this rebalancing, right? Rebalancing, getting back into the other mind, not just the reasoning mind, but the feeling mind. We're feeling things, guys. This is all about feeling. When Pisces moved into, when Neptune moved into Pisces, on the Tree of Life, it moves into the path that opens up our feeling nature to our earthly nature. And so it's been all these feelings, just rushing feelings. And we don't really know how to handle our feelings. We've been told that feelings don't count, and that it's the mind that matters, but it all matters. It all matters. And we're going to have to learn to deal with our feelings. A lot of this mental illness stuff that they're talking about is really emotional trauma. The trauma of abandonment, the trauma of being victimized, the trauma of being hit, or being attacked, or being just being mean, somebody being mean to you. That's enough of an attack. We're social beings. We're here to work together to accomplish things, to make things better for everyone. That's our, we're a what's the word? We're social. We're social. We're half ape. We're social. So now Saturn's at 2 degrees of Pisces. A squirrel hiding from hunters. The individual needs both to ensure his future subsistence and to protect himself from aggressive social elements opposing Venus at 2 degrees of Virgo. A large white cross dominates the landscape. The wisdom and compassion which only the experience of suffering and isolation can bring. It's like, well, it feels like an exposure of the wounds, right? I mean, healthcare workers in the United States, like what, 75,000 of them went on strike, um, because for better wages, to be appreciated, to be taken care of. I mean, they're taking care of people, and they're not whatever getting paid. I don't know the situation, but I mean, if they're striking, it's not good. And I was in healthcare for 30 years, and I was self-employed, so I pretty much ran my own show. But I mean, it got harder and harder to do that because it got, it just gets the system is so broken, and people sort of lean on the system instead of lean on the compassion of the healing of the patient. The patient is last. They're like just it's like making sausage, and they grind them up and then they make them into sausage. But yeah, so there's a real lack of compassion, and we need to have compassion for each other. We've just been through a terrible ordeal. COVID was a terrible ordeal. Many, many people died, and that was on the heels of I'm really kind of speaking from where I'm at in my country. So again, apologize for there's commonality though. And for us, 4 years of Trump, and the misogyny and the whole, and then it's just we're done. We're just so done with this, you know. But the voice of the people are coming up. We have here with this Venus opposite Saturn, Venus is ruling the South Node again, and by dispositorship and the rest has influence on that North Node. Saturn is saying it's time for the healing. It's time for the healing to come. And that's the idea. That's the Ace of Wands. That's the beginning of spirit, right? The healing can commence. And the other interesting thing about this is that this is happening on the 1010 portal we're reading for, because I try to do all my portal readings on the portal, so I can get the information about the portal on the portal, but sometimes a little before the portal. So it's all a state of mind, a state of vibration. It's all a state of vibration anyway. So we know that this is important, and 10 is the Wheel of Fortune, and 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. And when we add this up, we get the 10 and the 10 and the 7 of the universal year. So that's how we get the 27. And that is in Kether on the tree of life. It's right at the top of the tree, right here. Spirit speaking to us. And of course, Spirit also says to us that Pluto is about to station direct, which is like, so we have Pluto stationing direct, still squaring the nodes, squaring Mars, squaring Eris, a wide 10 degrees, squaring Chiron. The place that's sort of open is over here. It's Cancer. Like there's a whole like thing going on, like with this whole thing. And then we have Cancer. And Cancer is about nurturance. It's about taking care of the children. I'm struck by how the old is attacked, like how the youth is being attacked in so many ways. We're here to love them and to nurture them, not to attack them, not to allow them to be used as target practice, or not them to be allowed to be sacrificed at the altar of wearing your hijab the right way. That's not what you do with children. You love your children, you nurture them, you take care of them. The mother takes care of her children. It's time to put the caring into the hands of the mother. So we have a stationary Pluto. And of course it's stationing on the United States North Node. And I mean Pluto and I feel like there's also this transformational process that's happening in the military industrial complex in the United States, because the military industrial complex in the United States chart is Pluto and Capricorn. Well, it's the industrial complex. It used to be slavery, and then it changed. Now it's war. So we have to figure out a way to make it profitable to and really come to terms with our own war machine. So it says the enjoyment of, so a large Avery, the enjoyment of spiritual values by the soul able to familiarize itself with their implications. Now, this is the whole thing from Dane Rogers' book. It says birds symbolize spiritual forces, and the Avery presents us with a picture of these forces or desires contained within a mind open to the light of psychic or soul realities, and bringing joy and harmony to the consciousness. The strenuous ascent represented by the preceding scene, which was about pilgrims climbing up the side of a mountain to go to like a temple. The strenuous ascent represented by the preceding scene changes into a picture of familiarity with inspiring experience. Yet this familiarity may also suggest the lack of spontaneity of the thrill of discovery. To use modern terms, the peak experiences have become those of a high plateau at which level one may lose one's sense of direction at times. It says this stage in which leads to group mastery of cosmic energies, the youthful effort to reach the summit of cultural and spiritual attainment has settled down into a complex state of inspiration, state which at times may bring confusion because of the multiplicity of the voices which one has become open. One may speak here of clairaudience, meaning a capacity for being responsive to many inner voices. There's a lot of voices out there. And honestly, I think every voice deserves to be heard. And to be able to sit in that takes a lot of takes a certain amount of effort, and it takes a certain amount of mastery. And so you know, and we've had Pluto in Capricorn now since 2008. We've been mastering Pluto in Capricorn. And Pluto evolves to its polarity point. So really, the evolution is in the direction of Cancer. It's in the direction of nurturance. It's in the direction of taking care of our children, of taking care of the mothers, of taking care of Mother Earth. Cancer. And seeing where there's been abuse of power by the patriarchy or by the industrial complexes that use pain as their, you know, the more pain, the more they make. And then the people who benefit from them are the very few. That's what's changing. That's Pluto moving into Aquarius, guys. It's happening. Oh, I think there was something else I was supposed to say. Sorry. So Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, because I always look to see if something's happening in a sign. I like to see what the ruler's doing. is at 1 degree of Pisces. In a crowded marketplace, farmers and middlemen display a great variety of projects. So here the keynote, the process of commingling and interchange in which level demonstrates the health of the community. How integrated is the community? The more integrated, the more stable, the more interdependent, the healthier the community. And so we have communities where people are very isolated. We have communities where people don't have any stability. Something in the middle we have to come back to the middle for this stuff, right? All right, let's see. On the 11th of Wednesday, we have Chiron opposing the sun. Remember, I said this is the energy of illumination of what needs to be healed. I know I'm taking a long time on this, and I'll apologize again. Hopefully you don't mind. Oh, well. This began at the Sun Chiron conjunction, which happened on the 5th of April. At 16 degrees of Aries on that day, it vibrated to a tower. 16.7 is the tower. So 16.7 day, and the conjunction was at 16 of Aries. So that 16 comes up. And of course, 1 and 6 is 7, and we're in a 7-year. So significant, significant, significant. Nature spirits are seen at work in the light of sunset. Attunement to the potency of invisible forces of nature. The key word here is repotentialization. Repotentiating something. Our connection to Mother Earth, people. Easy peasy. She has all the medicine. She has all the answers. Let's start, communing and loving and doing things that show her that we know where we have made a misstep, and ask for her forgiveness. Now the sun is at 18 of Libra, 2 men placed under arrest. A breakdown in the constructive relationship between the individual and society, and the expectable results. An arrest. Okay. The sun, the leader, arrested. This is interesting. Opposing Chiron at 18 degrees of Aries, an empty hammock stretched between 2 trees, a constructive alternation of activity and rest, living rhythmically. Everything has rhythm. It's one of the laws of nature, as it referred to in the Kabbalion by the 3 initiates. Everything has rhythm. Everything has time. The time of the petulant child and the lone wolf is over. And the last wolf is about ready to be leashed. On the 12th of October, Mars ingress into Scorpio. Remember what I said about Mars in Scorpio? Very happy to be in Scorpio. As I'm talking about this, there's like a cop car going flying by. There's a Mars in Scorpio for you. 1 degree of Scorpio, a crowded sightseeing bus on a city street. The fundamental human eagerness to expand one's social horizons and to experience the results of collective achievements and a new way of life. Wow, doesn't that sound hopeful? A widening of experience. The Pluto, the modern ruler of Scorpio, and Mars is the ruler of Scorpio in the ancient texts. So Mars moving into Scorpio means that Mars is moving into a sign that it rules. So that's why it's so powerful. And so that symbol, that 1st degree of Aries symbol, is like twice like double down on that, and then add the overlay of the connection to Pluto, which remember is still in that sort of last quarter square energy. Crisis in consciousness, individuation. This is about this is revolution, evolution. The evolution of revolution and the revolution of evolution. That's what we're in. A large Avery. So we have to live all together on this planet, and we all have different ideas. And yet we should have our rights to our ideas as long as we can live in harmony with each other. When I see what's going on in places like Israel, what they're doing to the Palestinians, what the Iranians are doing to their children and their citizens, what America is doing to its citizens. Speedy trial down in Georgia. There are people that are in the Fulton County Jail that haven't even been indicted. They're waiting for their speedy trial. Yeah, we have to do things differently. It's the only way. It's the only way. Friday the 13th. Why not, right? Why wouldn't we have a Friday the 13th this week too? Vibrates to a 30/3. Four wands up there. See? Democratic card, right? Mars has a waning trine to Saturn. This is the dissemination of understanding. This is a Sagittarius trine. Trine is about flow. Mars and Saturn, right? This started on a portal. This energy started on a portal, the 4/4 portal back in 2022. That was, let's see, that's 8, 10. That was a 14.5 vibration that day. That's a spiritual initiation. And now we're at the sort of the disseminating phase. What did we learn from that spiritual initiation that we've just been through? It occurred at 23 degrees of Aquarius. A big bear sitting down and waving its paws, brought to fruition at the Mars-Saturn opposition on 7/7 of 7/20 at 7 degrees of Virgo Pisces. So we have the conjunction, then we have the opposition, and from that opposition, the seed of that opposition, which we're going to talk about the symbols here, then continues on and then gets disseminated through the disseminating trine. Mars in Virgo, a harem. So that's about being not so, it has to do with hoping that you will find favor with somebody. Opposing 7 of Pisces, illuminated by a shaft of light. A large cross lies on the rock surrounded by a sea mist. This is about having faith in your connection, spirit. So that was the opposition. Do I wait for somebody to favor me, or do I favor my connection with my own inner being and come from that place? That was the opposition. Now we have Mars at 1 of Scorpio, a crowded sightseeing bus on a city street, trine Saturn and Pisces, a crowded marketplace. Farmers and middlemen display a great variety of products. What is this showing us? It's showing us that we're here with other people. And it's important that we start to get along. It's important that we start to have fun. We party, We come together, we create connections with others. And then we have the eclipse. This is a new moon solar eclipse. I believe it's a ring of fire eclipse. 22 degrees of Libra, a child giving birds a drink at a fountain. All this talk of children, right? The concern of simple souls for the welfare and happiness of less evolved beings who thirst for life renewal. A lot of us might consider ourselves a little bit more evolved, but we've all been where everybody's been. And so it's a non-judgment zone. It's not about judging yourself superior. If you think that you're superior because you're more evolved, you miss the point. Ay, ay, ay. What you receive from the infinite, you can give to the finite beings that thirst for it. Man does not need to destroy nature's wilderness through greed and carelessness. He can transform the wilderness into a garden whose singing fountains will attract birds. Solicitude, care or concern for someone or something. Venus, as the ruler of Libra, is at 6 of Virgo. A merry-go-round, the objective approach to the life force. Objectivity means that you're seeing somebody besides yourself, and yet you have to be able to see yourself inside of that person, and yet you have to be able to stay connected. Again, connected this way and connected this way. This is about the web. This is about the web of life. So here we have the sun and moon at 22 degrees. It is actually part of a yod with Uranus on one side and Neptune on the other. Neptune in Pisces. This is about surrender, release, dissolution. Uranus in Taurus, the awakening of your essential needs. Food, water, shelter. And then we have this new moon in a sign associated with our awareness of the other. We also have, in which is you can't see here, but we have Eris right here on the north node, Chiron. The north node is actually activating the yod. So this is like eclipses to the nodes are eclipses always happen at the nodes, and it's always intense. Then add Eris on the north node and Mars on the south node in its dignity, and a yod from Uranus and Neptune, and a square from Pluto. This is going to blow things way out, way beyond what we've even can imagine. Now, what that exactly means, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that on the other side of this, things are going to be very different. And what I would say, in my own hope, perhaps, is to visualize that which you want to bring into your life. Because this is such a powerful time. And we're co-creative with spirit. Why waste your time on these scenarios that that it's all going to get terrible and it's going to be worse and worse and worse. There has to be a certain amount of optimism, I think, and perhaps that's my dysfunction. That's how I feel is best utilize this energy. This is the chart of what's happening in the United States chart. This chart that we were looking at was an Aries rising chart. I just wanted to look at the energy of this is a real comeback, come together moment. It's a real come together moment for humanity. And this is, purely archetypical, but if we look at how it affects the country, we could look at this chart. We have a Capricorn rising for Washington, D.C. at this time. That 13 degrees of Capricorn, 13, 14 degrees of Capricorn is the south node of Pluto. The south node of Pluto is in Capricorn. Pluto is just changed direction in Capricorn, squaring the nodes of the moon. And Jupiter and Saturn, the planet connected to Capricorn, is in Pisces, about dissolution. In the United States chart, this is happening in the 9th house, which is foreign places. It's also the Supreme Court. It's also religious institutions, educational institutions. There's a lot of institutional stuff here. Religion. With Eris and the North Node and Chiron in the 3rd house, you like your neighborhood. This feels like a very revolutionary chart, honestly. So we'll see what happens with that. But it's also the axis of the mind. And it could be as simple as people actually wake up to what's really going on. And because they do that, they do something different with their energy. And they create what needs to be created. All right. This is the path of the eclipse. We had one in 2017. I think I actually have a picture of that. And there's this one, and then there's another one. And I'll show you that. But this is where the Ring of Fire solar eclipse goes over, starting with Medford, Oregon here, or the Oregon coast, through Nevada. So this whole, all these areas, right? Las Vegas comes down through New Mexico, right? Texas, right through Texas. So this is the path of the eclipse through America. So this is that eclipse. This was the one that happened in 2017. Right? The one that Trump looked up at and didn't go blind. And then this is another one coming on, I think, when is this? April 8th of 2024. That one creates a cross here and a cross here in the United States. This is this actually, where it crosses, I believe, is in the southernmost tip of Illinois. But you look at the states around here, we have, let's see, I think Arkansas is there. I can't even see, honestly. I think Kentucky and Tennessee, and looks like Arkansas, and like, is that Virginia over here? It's hard to see. It's not that clear. And then down here by the border. So we see possible areas of activation through this eclipse. And then when the one in April comes along, April 8th, that one maybe sets it off, right? So we'll see what that means. But definitely America is up for a transformational process. And of course, we're having our Pluto return, and all of this is happening on our Pluto. So why wouldn't we be changing? For the rest of the world, they're changing too. I mean, I apologize for being so America-centric, honestly. I kind of wish I didn't have to be, but I feel like it's significant because of what's going on in America. And, we say we're one thing, but we have to come to terms with who we truly are. And if we want to be the thing that we say we are, then we're going to have to do things differently, right? All right, guys, that's what I see. I hope you got something out of this. Please like and subscribe. It's really helpful if you give me a thumbs up. And if you could share this, if you think this is important information for people to have, even though it is a little technical with the astrology. I realize that I sort of shoot myself in the foot with that stuff, but um, I would like to continue doing this work. And in order to do it, I need support. And so a thumbs up is greatly appreciated. I do have a Patreon page if you'd like to become a patron. I do a couple of special things for my patrons, but it's really the only way at this time to support me. If you want to do that, monthly, that'd be great, for as little as $5 a month. But you can decide on that, certainly. Um, See, it's an emergency. But I love you guys, and it's been such a wonderful ride. And it's a ride I'd like to continue. I just have to figure out a way to make it work for me a little better. I'm open to suggestions, nice ones. You can always email me. My email is down below as well if you have any ideas for me. And there are certain things I know about, and there are certain things I don't. And when you don't know what you don't know, it's helpful to ask. So, all right, guys, take care. Much love. Namaste. See you next week. Bye.